Hi, I'm Isabel Sandoval, and I'm a feature filmmaker, and I'm thrilled to be here at Indiana University in Bloomington. Cinema is the most immersive art form that gives us access to and is a window into the inner emotional and imaginative life of characters, especially women. And of course there's literature, but it's only in cinema as a visual medium that you get to experience the articulation of the artist's vision through images and sound. Watching In the Mood for Love by Wong Kar Wai is one of the most transformative experiences for me as a cinephile, in that it's just the contrast and the dissonance between the lushness and the extravagance of the imagery and the music and the otherwise narrative restraint,
我冇諗過你會嚟。
and how much he holds back, in terms of exposition. It really influenced the way I approach characters and setting a tone and an atmosphere in my own work. Chantal Ackerman, especially Jean Dillman and News from Home, really made a huge impact on me as a filmmaker. John Dillman just, training her camera on this middle-aged French woman as she's going about her seemingly mundane day-to-day rituals. And for that film to last almost 3 hours. And that was really, a big deal for me. And it goes to show that as an artist, you can pick the subject that you want to explore in your own work. And I feel that the one terra incognita in contemporary cinema is the inner lives and the subjectivity of minorities, especially women, queer individuals. And that really helped how I sculpted and shaped lingua franca, for instance.
How do you say man in Tagalog?
Lalaki.
Lalaki. How do you say beautiful?
Maganda.
So I would be a maganda lalaki. What? Why are you laughing?
Yes,
Okay.
if you say so. Other, tours that influenced me at different points in my life were Imar Bergman, Michael Haneke, especially The Piano Teacher, Fassbinder. And in terms of actors, I would have to say Jane Fonda, especially her performance in Clute, which was actually the performance that made me realize and that emboldened me to actually act in my own work. I thought it was her take on, the sex worker escort role that she played was truly quite subversive, and it felt both modern and defiant and self-possessed and intelligent. And that's how I approached playing the protagonist in my debut feature, Senorita. Throw out the rules, especially with your first work. When you make your first film, programmers at festivals, critics and producers are not necessarily looking for the most technically polished production or pricey budgets, but they are looking for an aesthetic and a voice and a sensibility that's truly distinct and bold and unexpected. when I made Senorita, my first film, I wanted to make a Filipino and queer film that no other contemporary Filipino or queer filmmaker was doing, and I continued, following that impulse in my second and third feature films. Even though I didn't go to film school, I studied psychology in my undergrad, and I feel like a work of art in film in this instance, if it comes from an authentic place, in a way, the artist doesn't really consciously decide, what the narrative is or what the conflicts and the dramas of the characters are. It naturally and unconsciously kind of emerges in the creative process. And I've learned to just trust my intuition and follow that impulse. And in a way, I feel like I'm outside looking in and just observing myself going that going through that creative process of catching ideas and putting them down on paper and then pursuing that to shooting those ideas into film. When I conceive of my own work, I don't come up with words on a page. They come to me as scenes that are strung together. I'd like to think that I am an editor who writes, directs, and sometimes acts in my own work so I can get the raw materials that I need as an editor to create the film that I had dreamed up, in the first place. Ultimately, I like the audience to experience a new feeling, one that's hopefully complex, perhaps, ambivalent, you know, intense, indelible. I like to think that my films ask certain questions, but allows the audience and the viewers the room emotionally and intellectually to ponder those questions on their own and either come up with a personal answer or to just let it marinate and inform how they live their lives. It transports the students and gives them access to worldviews and perspectives that they wouldn't necessarily get to experience just from going to the multiplex or to the popular streaming services, especially world cinema and third world cinema works from Asia and Africa and South America.